Now, it has been 8 years since the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 disappeared. The flight had 239 passengers on board.
The decade-long mystery over the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370.
It also marks 10 years since Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 just vanished from the sky.
The Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, disappeared without a trace on March 8, 2014, becoming one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries. This international flight, which had departed from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing, was completely routine until it vanished from radar screens, leaving the world stunned and without clear answers. Over the years, investigators from around the world have tracked the ocean and examined every possible clue, but the mystery of its disappearance remains unresolved. However, in recent times, scientists have begun to make surprising discoveries that could significantly change our understanding of flight MH370. These new findings and innovative theories are shedding light on the possible reasons and circumstances behind this tragic event. Today, we explore some of the most striking advancements that could provide us with a clearer picture of what truly happened aboard flight MH370 and unravel the secrets still hidden beneath the ocean's waters. Number 15. Cryptic calls and signals. One of the most intriguing elements of the MH370 case is the series of communications made with an Inmarsat satellite, a London-based communications company. After the plane vanished from radar, incredibly, it continued sending weak signals to the satellite for a continuous period of 6 hours. This fact offers an entirely different perspective on what may have happened on board. Rather than a sudden catastrophic disaster, the evidence suggests the plane continued flying at considerable speed and altitude long after other communication systems were disconnected. Over those 6 hours, the plane sent 7 electronic signals to the satellite. 2 of these were automatically initiated by the plane, while the other 5 were triggered by the Inmarsat ground station. These connections provided crucial information, helping investigators trace the aircraft's route after it disappeared from radar. Although the signals were weak, the transmissions continued, suggesting that something more complex was happening on that flight. In addition to the electronic signals, 2 attempts to make satellite calls were also made, though neither received a response on the other end. These attempts, while incomplete, are key to the analysis, as they suggest that the crew or someone on board tried to establish contact, adding another layer to the mystery surrounding the disappearance. Number 14. Radar information. As the mystery of MH370 unfolded, Malaysian authorities began to release classified details about the aircraft's movements after it vanished from primary radar coverage. According to radar data from air traffic control computers, the plane made a sudden turn southwest shortly after disappearing from radar. This change of course was followed by another turn northward over the Malay Peninsula, causing the plane to circle several times around the island of Penang. This unconventional route continued for more than an hour, passing through the Strait of Malacca until it finally disappeared from radar over the Andaman Sea. This erratic behavior did not align with what is expected from a typical hijacking or flight accident, and the duration of this phase of flight, over an hour, suggests the disappearance was more complex than initially thought. This unexpected turn in the flight's route was one of the first signs that something highly unusual was occurring. Investigations revealed that the plane, which was equipped with advanced communication and connectivity technology, should have been able to send real-time data. Despite this, the fact that the flight disappeared so suddenly and without warning, along with the strange maneuvers recorded by the radar, led many experts to question the causes behind the event. While some suggested more outlandish theories, it was clear that this was no ordinary case. The disappearance of a Boeing 777, known for its reliability and cutting-edge technology in an era when commercial planes rarely disappear, seemed almost impossible. However, this turn and the inconsistencies in the radar reports were just the beginning of a series of bewildering discoveries. Number 13. The astonishing journey toward Antarctica. One of the most surprising findings in the investigation of MEH 370 came from a detailed analysis of Doppler shift records carried out by technicians in London. These data revealed a key clue in the moments after the plane's disappearance. Rather than following a direct route to Beijing as planned, the aircraft made an unexpected turn south at 2:40 a.m. while flying over Sumatra, an island north of Indonesia. This turn meant that the plane veered southward, astonishingly toward Antarctica, a region much farther from its original route. What appeared to be a minor change in course turned out to be a significant detour that took the plane far beyond its expected range. Doppler data confirmed that 6 hours after this turn, the plane began a rapid and steep descent. This descent was not gradual, but 5 times faster than the normal descent rate of a plane in flight. This abrupt descent seems to have caused the plane to lose parts before impact, suggesting that the plane did not land in a controlled manner, but rather suffered a catastrophic event. Satellite data indicates that the plane crashed into the ocean, but due to the lack of direct physical evidence at the impact site, the exact location and circumstances of the accident remain a mystery. What is clear is that the plane did not complete a controlled landing, and the final crash was far more violent than initially thought. The electronic evidence showed that the plane had disintegrated into small pieces shortly after falling, leaving many unanswered questions about what truly happened in those final minutes of flight. While satellite data was crucial, it did not provide the physical proof necessary to confirm the theories that had been proposed, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. Number 12. The Doppler value. The technical analysis of data obtained during flight MH370 reveals that the plane likely turned south on its route. This conclusion is mainly supported by a critical parameter recorded by Inmarsat called the Doppler value. This value is essential for determining how the frequency of the signal sent by the aircraft varies as it moves relative to the receiving satellite. In commercial flights, this type of measurement is regularly used to maintain constant and smooth communication between the plane and the satellites, ensuring efficient data transfer. The aircraft's onboard system is designed to anticipate and adjust for these frequency changes. However, certain factors can affect the accuracy of the measurements, especially when older satellites are used or when the satellite's orbit inclination is not optimal. Other factors, such as weather conditions, especially temperature, also play an important role in signal quality and can introduce noticeable variations in the data, leaving traces detectable by investigators. These subtle details were crucial in reconstructing the plane's final route and confirming that it indeed deviated from its original path southward, providing a key piece in understanding MH370's movements after its disappearance. Number 11. The elusive search for the black boxes. One of the most perplexing aspects of the MH370 case was the search and recovery of the black boxes. Despite the fact that satellites indicated the plane continued flying for several hours after losing contact, the information was withheld for a crucial period, significantly complicating the search efforts. The Malaysian government was heavily criticized for its lack of transparency, which created distrust among international investigators and exacerbated the chaos already unfolding. The evasive behavior of the Malaysian authorities and suspicions of corruption within the region's political environment hampered the progress of the investigation. Initially, the search was focused on the South China Sea, but efforts proved fruitless due to a lack of precise information. Had the Malaysian government been more open from the beginning, the plane's wreckage could have been located more quickly, allowing investigators to approach the black box's location. This was a key point, as recovering the black boxes could have provided important answers regarding what happened aboard the plane in the moments leading up to its disappearance. The search continued for several months without success, and by April 2014, it shifted to a deeper part of the Indian Ocean. The Malaysian government did not have the technical capabilities necessary to search in such deep waters, so Australia took over responsibility for the operation. However, the vast expanse of the ocean and the region's remoteness presented extraordinary challenges. Mapping the seabed was the first step in conducting the search effectively. Only after this mapping was completed could specialized sonar vehicles capable of reaching great depths be deployed to begin investigating the ocean floor. Although significant progress was made, the location of the plane's wreckage, as well as the black boxes, remains one of the great unsolved enigmas of the case. Number 10. The secret intentional flights. As details of Flight MH370 began to surface, suspicions arose about the possibility that this event was not a simple accident, but the result of a carefully planned situation. The unusual route followed by the aircraft, which continued its journey without any electronic communication, does not fit the usual explanations given for aviation incidents. Common reasons like computer errors, flight control system malfunctions, adverse weather conditions such as storms or lightning, or even mechanical failures fail to explain the complexity of the route deviation experienced by the plane. The lack of precedents for similar incidents, such as system failures or onboard medical emergencies, suggests that something far more complex may have occurred. No evidence of external threats like hijackings or terrorist attacks was found, leaving open the possibility that the route deviation was the result of a deliberate action. Even theories involving onboard fires, cabin pressure loss, or cargo issues fail to provide a complete explanation of the flight's course. This mystery deepens when considering that the flight did not experience a sudden interruption, as in many air crashes, but rather followed a carefully altered trajectory, making the disappearance of MH371 of the most perplexing enigmas in modern aviation. Despite the efforts of investigators and the theories proposed, the fact that the plane continued to fly in such an unusual direction without an evident cause remains an unsolved mystery, adding a new level of complexity to a case that is already one of the most enigmatic in recent history. Number 9. Conspiracy in flight. In Boulder, Colorado, Mike, an electrical engineer and respected member of an independent group, delved into radar data related to an aircraft. He became firmly convinced that during a turn, the plane ascended to an altitude of 40,000 feet, which was near its maximum capacity. Such a maneuver would have subjected passengers to strong G-forces, pushing them into their seats. Mike proposed a theory that this ascent was deliberate, aimed at quickly depressurizing the aircraft, which would have caused the incapacitation and tragic death of everyone aboard. His hypothesis suggested that this intentional depressurization could have been a method to control any disruptive behavior during the long flight. The effects of depressurization would have gone unnoticed in the cabin, were it not for the sudden appearance of oxygen masks falling from the ceiling, designed for emergency situations. However, these masks are only effective for up to 15 minutes at altitudes below 13,000 feet. At the high altitude of 40,000 feet, the cabin occupants would have quickly lost consciousness, without experiencing suffocation or drowning. The deceased passengers would have remained in their seats, with their faces supported by the now ineffective oxygen masks hanging from the ceiling. The scene would have been dimly lit by emergency lights. In contrast, the cabin was equipped with 4 pressurized oxygen masks capable of supplying oxygen for several hours. If someone had intentionally depressurized the plane, they could have used one of these masks to continue breathing safely. Meanwhile, the aircraft, flying at high speed, appeared as a mysterious dot on primary radars, heading toward Penang Island at nearly 600 miles per hour. The area housed the Butterworth Air Base, which had a fleet of Malaysia's F-18 fighter jets and an air defense radar. Surprisingly, it seemed that no one was paying much attention to the situation. As Mike continued his investigation, he couldn't help but wonder about the puzzling lack of attention from the air defense radar and the fighter jets. The gravity of his findings and their potential implications for aviation security weighed heavily on his mind. Number 8. Sabotage in the clouds. Despite what many believed, the control of the plane was not taken from a remote location beneath the kitchen where the electrical equipment is stored. Instead, it was controlled from inside the cockpit. This occurred between 1:01 a.m., when the plane reached an altitude of 35,000 feet, and 1:21 a.m., when it disappeared from secondary radar. During this 20-minute period, the aircraft's automatic conditions reporting system sent its regular 30-minute update to the airline's maintenance department via satellite. This update included information about fuel level, altitude, speed, geographical position, and any anomalies. The transmission showed that the aircraft's satellite communication system was functioning at that moment. Given the improbability that both pilots acted together in this way, it is likely that by the time the plane disappeared from secondary radar, one of the pilots had already been incapacitated, had died, or had been locked out of the cockpit. Both military and civilian aircraft were detected on primary radar. Further investigation suggested that the MH370 pilot probably deactivated the autopilot, as the precise turn toward the southwest was too exact to have been performed by automated systems. Furthermore, it seems that the person in charge intentionally depressurized the aircraft and turned off a significant portion, if not all, of the electrical system around the same time. The reason behind these actions remains uncertain, but they had the unintended consequence of temporarily interrupting the satellite connection. Number 7. When pilots take control. In the intriguing mystery of the disappearance of MH370, another theory revolves around the possible involvement of the captain. Was it conceivable that the captain took control without resorting to force? Although unsettling, this notion is not entirely unprecedented, as similar incidents have occurred in the past. For example, in 1997, the captain of Silk Air, a Singaporean airline, allegedly deactivated crucial recorders on a Boeing 737 before deliberately crashing it into a river at high speed. Similarly, in 1999, the co-pilot of Egypt, Air Flight 990, intentionally crashed the plane into the sea near Long Island, killing everyone aboard. Furthermore, just a month before the MH370 incident, the captain of Mozambique Airlines Flight 70 tragically crashed his plane from a great height, causing the loss of all lives. Another disturbing example is the case of Germanwings Airbus, which was deliberately crashed into the French Alps on March 24, 2015, resulting in the deaths of all passengers and crew. In this case, co-pilot Andreas Lubitz locked the pilot out of the cockpit while he went to the restroom. The investigation revealed that Lubitz had been experiencing sadness and had researched the disappearance of MH370 a year earlier. However, it is difficult to accept the possibility that the co-pilot was involved in the MH370 incident. He was described as a young optimist, excited about his upcoming wedding. There are no records suggesting personal conflicts or signs of depression. Additionally, he was not a German pilot working for a low-cost airline with low salaries and little prestige. On the contrary, he flew the prestigious Boeing 777 in a country where the national airline and its pilots were highly regarded. Number 6. Unmasking Captain Zahari. The case of Flight MH370 is surrounded by questions, but one of the most mysterious points of the disappearance is the figure of Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. For years, he was portrayed as an exemplary pilot, a family man, and a professional committed to his work. His personal and professional life seemed, at first glance, perfectly organized, fitting the public image of a pilot with decades of experience. However, a deeper look into his life reveals a much more complex and darker picture that authorities failed to unravel in time. At first glance, Zahari appeared to be a person in control of his life. His family projected a perfect image, and initial reports on his performance as a pilot were positive. His professional record showed a man with excellent performance with no signs of psychological or emotional issues. However, early investigations suggested that these official reports did not capture the entirety of his mental and emotional state in the days leading up to the tragedy. In his downtime, Zahari became increasingly isolated, distancing himself from his family and social circles. As the investigation deepened, it was discovered that Zahari had been struggling with a growing sense of loneliness and distress. The departure of his wife, who had moved out of Malaysia, left the captain in a state of prolonged isolation. Instead of seeking support from his family or close friends, he sank into a life of solitude, spending long hours at home between flights. This retreat from social interaction was accompanied by excessive use of social media, where Zahari displayed a troubling interest in a married woman and young models online. His attempts to interact with them were rejected, but some of his messages crossed inappropriate boundaries, suggesting a growing disconnection from reality. In addition to this problematic behavior, Zahari had begun spending hours playing with flight simulators in his free time. What started as an innocent hobby soon took on more disturbing connotations. Further investigations revealed that Zahari had used his simulator to recreate a flight path that remarkably matched the trajectory of flight MH370, the same path the plane took before disappearing. This discovery was of great significance, but inexplicably the Malaysian authorities did not give it the attention it deserved. Evidence suggests that Zahari may have been planning, or at least anticipating, the events that would lead to the disappearance of the flight. Mental health experts suggest that the combination of his social isolation, excessive social media use, and possible personal tensions may have triggered a clinical depression in Zahari. However, his public image as a competent and balanced pilot helped conceal these issues, allowing his emotional deterioration to go unnoticed until it was too late. His behavior, though seemingly impeccable on the day of the flight, began to take on a new perspective when viewed through the lens of the personal details that had not been reported. His emotional disconnection and use of the flight simulator offer a new insight into the possible motives behind the disappearance of MH370, suggesting that Zahari may have played a more active role in the incident than initially thought. Number 5. The breadcrumb trail. The case of MH370 has attracted the attention of many independent investigators, one of the most prominent being Victor Ianello, an entrepreneur from Roanoke, Virginia. Ianello has dedicated much of his time to studying the flight of MH370, focusing his research on Zahari's strange behavior with his flight simulator. Although the official investigation overlooked certain aspects, Ianello discovered patterns that couldn't be ignored. According to his analysis, Zahari didn't simply use the simulator in a conventional way. He did so in a manner that indicated an awareness of what was happening and a deliberate control over the outcome. Rather than conducting a standard flight simulation, Zahari manually adjusted fuel levels and altered the route in a way that caused the simulated plane to disappear in mid-air, exactly the same way the real MH370 flight ceased to be detectable. This behavior caught Ianello's attention, and he interpreted the pattern as a breadcrumb trail, a deliberate clue that Zahari might have been planning something beyond a simple, routine flight. For Ianello, the use of this flight simulator wasn't just a recreational exercise, it was a way of mentally preparing for what would eventually happen. The fact that Zahari used a commercially available flight simulator, like the ones used by gaming enthusiasts, adds an extra layer of mystery to the situation. Such simulators were not necessary for training a pilot of his caliber, leading to the conclusion that Zahari might have been seeking something more. Was it a way of practicing a hijacking scenario or simulating an out-of-control flight? Ianello argues that Zahari's actions on the simulator could have been a way to leave a message or mentally prepare for what would unfold in reality. If this theory is true, the disappearance of MH370 becomes an even deeper tragedy, as it may not have been just an accident, but possibly the result of a premeditated and carefully planned action. Number 4. The cyber conspiracy. An even darker angle is raised by historian and cybersecurity expert Norman Davis. According to Davis, it's possible that flight MH370 wasn't diverted by a pilot or human error, but rather hacked remotely using sophisticated aircraft control technology. Davis points to a system known as the uninterruptible autopilot developed by Boeing Honeywell, which would allow cyber experts to take control of an airplane remotely. While this technology was designed to prevent a repeat of the 9/11's attacks, it also opens the door to an even more terrifying possibility: the remote hijacking of a commercial plane. Davis's hypothesis suggests that the aircraft might have been carrying sensitive materials or important individuals en route to Beijing, making it a target for two separate hijacking attempts. According to his theory, the first group of hackers might have taken control of the plane, diverting it toward the U.S. military base on Diego Garcia, located in the Indian Ocean. However, the plane never reached that destination, which suggests that another group of hackers or external authorities intervened and took control of the aircraft to prevent it from reaching its intended location. This possibility, although chilling, cannot be entirely dismissed, given the evidence that commercial aircraft are vulnerable to cyber attacks, as shown by the security efforts within the aviation industry. If the disappearance of MH370 involved not just human or mechanical failures, but also large-scale technological manipulation, the case takes on an even more complex and terrifying dimension. If the aircraft's controls were indeed taken remotely, a wide range of possibilities open up regarding the motives behind the disappearance and the actors involved, making the mystery of MH370 one of the most baffling enigmas in modern aviation history. Number 3. The elusive jungle crash site. In 2019, while investigators continued their search for the missing MH370 aircraft, a British video producer named Ian Wilson developed a unique theory. He believed the plane could have crashed in a remote jungle, making it difficult to locate using satellite imagery. Ian focused his search on the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, specifically an area in Cambodia, about 60 miles from Phnom Penh. After analyzing satellite images, he discovered what appeared to be an airplane crashed into a mountain. While some wreckage from the plane was found in the Indian Ocean, only a few pieces were confirmed to belong to MH370, leaving doubts about the theory that the plane crashed into the sea. Undeterred, Ian and his brother Jackie ventured into the Cambodian jungle to explore the area. However, the expedition was fraught with difficulties, as their guides had to turn back due to the treacherous terrain. Despite these challenges, the brothers remained hopeful that their find was significant. Aviation expert Lieutenant Tim McMillan observed that while the object might resemble an airplane, it seemed too small to be a Boeing 777, the model of MH370. Eventually, experts confirmed that the wreckage did not belong to the missing flight, but instead was from another plane. Despite this setback, Ian and Jackie remain convinced they've found something important and hope to return to the jungle when they have the resources to continue their exploration. Number 2. The hidden passenger and mysterious cargo. As the investigation progressed, a more intriguing theory emerged. A passenger might have hijacked the plane by boarding undetected. This idea gained traction as surprising details about the flight's cargo came to light. It was discovered that a mysterious 14-stone, around 196 pounds load, had been added to MH370's cargo. According to Mr. Jaslin, whose relatives were aboard the flight, French investigators revealed this detail in a report that included the list of passengers and their belongings, raising even more questions about the nature of the flight. In a surprising twist, it was discovered that an unidentified 89-kilogram, about 196-pound load had been clandestinely added after takeoff. This load exceeded the permitted weight limit, but no clear explanation was provided for this excess. Hypotheses began circulating about a potential hijacking by a crew member, a passenger, or even an unknown stowaway. However, aviation security expert Tim Termini noted that the hijacking theory was gaining strength. Meanwhile, Philip Abaum, another expert, warned about the reluctance of authorities to consider the possibility of a stowaway. Number 1. Uncontrolled missiles or misunderstandings. Finally, another theory gaining attention suggests that MH370 may have been shot down during a joint military exercise between the United States and Thailand in the South China Sea, just as the plane disappeared. According to some, a misunderstanding, technical issues, or even human error might have caused this tragic accident. Marc Tegan, a former French airline director, claimed to have seen satellite images of unidentified aircraft in the region at the time. He asserted that he was threatened for revealing this information, which could suggest that something more was at play. An even darker scenario suggests that MH370 was mistakenly identified as a hostile aircraft and accidentally shot down. According to this hypothesis, the plane might have deviated from its route, lost communication, or even been mistaken for another plane. British author Nigel Cawthorne suggested that US and Thai fighter jets might have shot down the plane, fearing it was heading toward the Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean. Additionally, some more elaborate theories claim that MH370 was shot down as part of a secret operation with political or strategic objectives. However, this theory faces significant resistance. There is no clear evidence supporting the idea that the plane was shot down, and no missiles or military aircraft have been found near the flight's path. Furthermore, accusations of a global cover-up to hide the truth remain unproven, casting serious doubt on the validity of these claims. These theories have kept investigators and the public on edge for years. While each has its own set of evidence and speculation, the truth behind the disappearance of MH370 remains uncertain. Which of these theories do you find most plausible? Or do you believe something even bigger is behind all this? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this case intriguing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more mysterious and fascinating content.